This is Zero with the Danger Zone, and this is Destiny Dialogue. Today I'll be discussing the locked loadouts revealed by IGN first during the Destiny 2 reveals. So first I want to start by saying at this time we don't know what specific activities locked loadouts will apply to. That being certain PvE, such as raids, strikes, story missions, or PvP. Like, will a PvP will only affect a competitive playlist? Will it affect all playlists? Will it only affect trials? We don't know. So I'm just going to give my viewpoints on what I think about it affecting PvE and PvP, and how I think that's good, how I think it's bad, where it can be implemented, where it won't be implemented. I'd like you to, if you have any suggestions yourself, or you agree, you disagree, you want to tell me to go fuck myself, please comment down below. But starting with PvE, and the big deal, I think, the focus for me will be raids, and how locked loadouts will affect fireteam composition. So I think one of the big deals to worry about as far as locked loadouts and raids is, when will that lock take place? Will I have to, as soon as I hit launch on the raid, am I locked into that loadout? I can't change during the entire time of the raid. Or will there be like grace periods during the raid? Like maybe the lock portion of the loadout, your loadout being locked, only comes into effect once you get into a certain part of the raid, like maybe a boss fight. Like as you walk into the boss's room, your loadout's now locked, and it gives you a warning, you know, your loadout's locked, you can't change it. I think it has to be kind of that. One, I want to say, from my perspective, I think it's going to be awesome as far as developing a team composition, especially if it's locked as soon as you hit launch. If you hit launch and you can't change your weapon before, the planning and coordination beforehand, I think, is awesome. For a strategist point of view, it's going to be kind of shitty for pickup groups, and especially with them implementing the clan systems and the guided games. Trying to force somebody to be a specific role, like, you know, you're gonna have two people with snipers, two people with shotguns, two people with rockets, or any combination of two, finding someone in that guided games to fill one of those roles. So good and bad there. I think good for a more seasoned veteran player, bad for casual players to have the lockout start as soon as you hit launch, just because of the amount of coordination needed. Now, what I think should happen, because it still allows for the strategy and planning, but allows you to recuperate and change and adapt depending on the boss fight. So you have these grace periods. So while you're just walking around, you know, going from one section of the raid to the next section, you can change your loadout and do whatever like we're normally used to. And then as you, like I said, as you get to a boss room, it locks. I think that's a great way to do it. That way in the middle of a fight, you can't change weapons or anything. Which, there's not many boss fights where you're changing weapons anyway. Not that I ever did through Destiny 1. But I can see where some people might have, you know, especially if the bosses are going to be as dynamic as what we've seen so far. Where instead of just bullet sponges, there's multi-phases to them, where during this phase, you know, maybe close-up weapons are better because there's hordes of mobs. Second phase, maybe it's better to have snipers because you need to get long-range shots in. So I think if you have the multi-phases of boss fights, then the load lockout would still work as far as increasing that challenge to the raid, if you only do it for the boss fight rooms. Now moving on to PvP. This is where I think it's just a generally negative effect. One, I think it becomes negative, increasingly negative, with the new idea that all the weapons, or the new implementation by Bungie, that all weapons will have a set role. Meaning you can't get random rolls. There's no more farming for the God roll Isoluna. If you get an Isoluna, it has this rolls. If you get a second, third, fourth, fifth Isoluna, they all have the same rolls. I think that's already going to cause like specific weapons to like, oh, this is clearly the best sniper. This is clearly the best hand cannon. This is clearly the best auto rifle. So then, with loadout lockouts, you're going to have more people who are going to pick safe picks when going into matches. Whether, that be trials, whether that be the competitive playlist, who knows. And that's the other thing. I think locked loadouts should only be implemented in those higher levels, such as the competitive playlist or trials. If you do it on the casual playlist, I just don't see the point. Let people go in there, change their weapons at will to try different things out. I think the big issue, like I said though, is people picking safe bets. So I think it stagnates the meta. I think the meta will be even more stagnant than it is right now at the end of Destiny 1. That's going to do it for now. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you agree, disagree with me, make sure you comment below. You can find me on twitch.tv/danger_zone, spelled Z0N3.